So the Eagles finally lose a game this year, and I never thought I'd say this as an Eagles fan. I'm happy the Eagles lost to the Broncos yesterday, and my main reason is this team needed a loss. They have not had a loss since, I think it was October of, well, that's not true. They haven't had a loss at home since October of last year in Philly. They did lose to the Commanders, but again, that was a weird game. Jalen's knocked out, whatever. That is irrelevant. This team needed a loss. I just felt like they did. Yes, I've been happy that they've been winning games this season, but we all know what this product has looked like. I've talked about it on this channel. I've talked about it on my TikTok. It's the national narrative as well. You really can't hide from it. This team is not playing at the standard that they should be at. Yes, they're 4-1, and I'm okay with them being 4-1. Obviously, you like to be 5-0. They're 4-1. But it needs to be better, and we all know where it needs to be better, and that's on the offense. And I will discuss that today. Overall, though, I'm just happy that they lost because, in my opinion, they needed it. They needed a reflection in the mirror. Yes, they've been doing that, but when you lose, every single thing that you did in that loss is now heightened. You have been able to say the last couple weeks, oh, we've been barely getting by. Oh, the Eagles offense will figure it out. We need to figure it out, but we're still winning games. But you're not winning a game now. So obviously what you're doing, it already wasn't working, and now it's resulting in losses. Fix the problems. There are problems here, and they need to address them. I think this is a good opportunity, though, against a good team to get right. And I just think some of these mistakes and issues were magnified again on Sunday. But I think, again, it was against a good team. I think they can then use these and build off of this because there were still some good things in today's game. But again, they're just getting in their own way. So let's get into that now. I'll start with the positives first for the offense. First was the passing game until about the fourth quarter, maybe midway through the third. I actually thought it looked all right. I'm not saying it was perfect. It really wasn't, in my opinion, great, or it was not necessarily flowing very well. But they were at least able to move the ball a little bit. I mean, Devontae Smith on that deep ball, beautiful ball by Jalen Hurts. That was fantastic. And again, Smitty all day honestly had a great game, and it makes sense. A.J. Brown was on Patrick Surtain all day, so that was going to be a long day for both of those two. And again, if you're the Eagles, it makes sense. Take advantage of whoever that cornerback 2 is and whoever Devontae Smith will be on, because obviously that corner is just not going to be as good as Surtain. The Eagles did that, and I applaud them for that because that's what good football teams do. You get Devontae Smith involved. I love to see that. I also love seeing Dallas Goedert involved yesterday. Again, he was involved a lot in those RPO plays to the right where they would fake, obviously, to the running back and then almost do a little bit of a crossing route, a short crossing route to Dallas Goedert. They got him involved. I thought that was good. And then again, yes, we will talk about it in the negatives for the offense, but Saquon Barkley was at least involved in the passing game. It was a beautiful route and a beautiful throw by Jalen Hurts. And honestly, I don't know why the Eagles don't use him more in the passing game. I've been saying this for, the last year at least, and not that it really mattered last year, but I'd like to see Saquon Barkley involved more in the passing game, especially when you're having, tough times running the ball. This guy can still be a threat on receivers. This guy can still cook linebackers. I mean, he absolutely cooked Alex Singleton yesterday in coverage on that wheel route. So there's a lot to build off there on offense. There were certain things that worked. I'm not going to say it was a great day on offense. It really wasn't. But there were still some positives that I have to give the Eagles there. But now let's get into the negatives, and those are what really are going to be defining this video. First, this is on A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, again, not being on the same page, though it looked like it was maybe more on A.J. Brown because he kind of let up a little bit on the route. But, man, the Eagles could have gone for the dagger and still realistically probably gotten a win if they hit A.J. Brown on that deep ball. Jalen Brown just overshoots him, but as you look back and watch the film, A.J. Brown ends up running up short. He doesn't run all the way. So, again, I like A.J. Brown a lot, and I can empathize with him being frustrated with the offensive coordinator and the play calling. But when you don't do your job and you slow down after complaining all week and making a whole freaking, just a whole thing over the last week of, A.J. Brown might want to get traded. A.J. Brown is making all these complaints. If you're not doing your job, you need to shut up. You need to shut up. And I know that's kind of harsh. I love AJ, but man, all this talking and you're not even doing your part, you got to lock in, bro. I thought that was really disappointing from both of them. Again, not being on the same page, continuing problems from this week into now the next week. And again, that play, realistically, if the Eagles connect on that play, they probably win the game. So I was very frustrated with that. Also, I was frustrated with the offensive line yesterday. The offensive line had its worst game I can remember for the Eagles. I think he led about 5 to 6 sacks for Jalen Hurts. He couldn't even run anywhere because Denver's edges were doing a really good job. and they couldn't run block for to save their life, and they haven't been all year. Yes, Landon Dickerson goes down, but man, oh man, you just got to be better. You got to be better. So, I don't know. I thought the Eagles' offensive line, it looked bad. Again, we'll see if this group gets it together, and I trust this group. But, man, for the talent that's on this group, they look like they were getting pushed around yesterday, and I thought it impacted, Jalen Hurts in the pocket yesterday. At some of this, though, I do feel like he could have gotten the ball out a little quicker. But it was too much consistent pressure from Denver, and I was disappointed seeing that as an Eagles fan because we all know how good this offensive line really is. This goes on Kevin Patullo, and these next two segments will. 9 carries for Saquon Barkley. Who thought that was a good idea? And again, this goes back to the offensive line. I understand that you don't trust the offensive line right now in the run block. They're not getting it done. I get it. But, and we'll touch on this in the next segment, why are you just completely running away from the run? It makes it more predictable for Denver's defense. In my opinion, it scales down the playbook. You're getting one of your best players not involved in the football game. It just doesn't make sense. I know it's tough when you're not able to do it consistently, but also maybe become a little bit more creative in the running game. The Eagles have run, and over the last couple years, over the last year, they did with Kellen Moore as well. They're not a very creative run game. It's a lot of inside zone, a lot of stretch, a lot of the toss plays. It's not a creative run game. So maybe they need to be more creative. But right now, what they've been doing has not been working. And I understand that it's not been working. But running away from it altogether yesterday was a huge reason, in my opinion, why you lost. And building off that is the play calling. The play calling yesterday in the third quarter, third quarter on. I mean, I'm not saying it also wasn't the greatest in the first half. But I would say midway through the third quarter and on, the play calling on offense was awful yesterday. And my main reasons for it being bad is, again, you don't go to the running back at all. You just stop running the football, which makes it way more predictable. Number two, it's, again, so many slant routes to AJ, trying to get him involved on Patrick Surtain out of all guys. That's usually not a high percentage decision. So I'm a little, just a little dumbfounded on why we were continuously trying to do that. And my biggest complaint was, why do you keep passing the football on these short plays where they don't even potentially even get completed, and you're not helping your defense out at all? You're giving a bunch of these short drives to the Broncos defense. It's stopping the clock. It's not wasting the clock. It's football 101. If you're up with the lead, you waste clock, because even if you don't have a winning drive or get a touchdown, you run the clock and you make it easier. Number one, your defense gets to rest more. It's less time for the opposing offense to then make a drive on you. I just did not understand what the Eagles were trying to do yesterday in that second half offensively. It did not make sense, even from a basic football level. It did not make sense yesterday. And again, this has been boiling over from 5 weeks straight of this offense isn't good enough. The play calling isn't good enough. The guys are they're not in sync. It's not creative. It doesn't make sense. Even from a time management standpoint, it doesn't make sense. I just hated everything I saw yesterday in that second half of the offense. It just was ugly at times. Yes, again, they could have executed in a couple areas here and there. But, man, some of the play calling and the decisions and just the lack of time management was awful, in my opinion, from the Eagles. Now let's get to the defense. This was a weird one for the defense. Positives, they didn't give up a ton of points. I mean, when you have given up 3 points going into the fourth quarter, I can't be mad at the defense. I really can't. I thought that they played all right yesterday. Again, maybe they were supposed to force a fumble, maybe. But other than that, that's really all I can say from a positive. It's not like it was a great day. It was not a bad day either. I don't know. It was just kind of an okay day from the defense, but still, allowing 3 points going into the fourth quarter, there's no way I can really complain about that.
Hey guys, just watching the video back, and I noticed that I said that the Broncos scored 18 points. The Broncos scored 21 points. Just wanted to let you guys know, made a mistake and wanted to include this before I put the actual video out. So please ignore, whenever I say 18 points, I really mean 21. Just wanted to put that in there before the actual video is put out.
But now I get to the negatives for the defense, and it really is that fourth quarter. What the hell happened there? Just too soft. Denver really could go, anywhere on the field that they wanted to. I didn't feel like there was really much pressure there either. They're really missing Nolan Smith right now. I just didn't really see much from that defense that showed me anything in that fourth quarter. I feel like they got pushed around. Some of the corners were getting pushed around. Even Quignon was giving up some big catches. And I think this, again, is a result of having to be on the field so much yesterday. because they barely had time to rest because, again, this dumbass play calling on offense kept just not wasting the clock. It just gives more time for Denver. I don't know. I felt bad for the defense. Again, I'm not going to kill them because, again, you give up 18 points in the NFL. In the modern NFL, you should be able to win a football game when your defense gives up 18 points. So I'm not going to kill them, but we need to see a little bit more. Maybe a turnover yesterday, maybe a little bit more pressure. Just needed a little bit more. And a continuation of that is, again, this cornerback, too, is still a problem. They were attacking Keely Ringo yesterday a little bit. When Adoree Jackson was on, they went after him. The Eagles need to figure that out. I think it's an underrated problem. I wouldn't necessarily say underrated, but it hasn't killed them the last couple of weeks. But I think it's something they really need to fix, and they got to get that figured out. And then as well, I thought the run defense for the Eagles was a little underwhelming, I would say. I thought Denver did a pretty good job with the running game. J.K. Dobbins was doing a lot. He had some holes as well. So I'd like to see that cleaned up with the Eagles just because, again, we know who's playing DT with this team. You have 3 good defensive tackles. I think it needs to be better there. And then last I would say is just really Zach Bond. Dumbass penalty at the end of the game. You can't be hitting guys there when you get a stop. That was really, really dumb by Zach Bond. And last is really coaching in general. I just thought that the Eagles got outcoached by Denver down the stretch. Denver was more aggressive. This is something the Eagles are usually known for, being the aggressive team. This goes back to Doug Peterson. Even now with Nick, they've been an aggressive team. That's what they've lived and died by. And they got out-aggressive, if you even want to say it like that, by Sean Payton yesterday on that 2-point conversion. He had some big balls to do that. So, congratulations to Denver. And again, the Eagles got to stop with the penalties. Some of these penalties yesterday, whether it was offensively, the Zach Bond one, you guys got to stop. You're just hurting yourself. I think the Eagles are just getting in their own way. We all see how good this football team is, but you have to correct the mistakes. Again, you got to get the play calling figured out. Defense, maybe, I don't know. They're lacking a little bit of a pass rush right now, and that cornerback too. But again, clean up some of these penalties. You're making it harder to win when you're already making it even more difficult to win because, again, of the offensive play calling. So I think the coaching didn't have a great week this week, in my opinion. We'll see how they do. Obviously, you're going against the Giants next week, and it doesn't get much worse than Dable, but you got to be better. And overall, I just feel like through all 3 phases of this game, whether it was coaching, defense, offense, not much to say about the special teams. I just feel like they need to all be better. But again, I think this was a wake-up call. The team needed something like this. You can't win every game every week in the NFL. And even I was saying this at the end of the game, even if the Eagles somehow blocked a kick or, Denver missed a field goal. If the Eagles would have won yesterday, I would have not felt good about it. I wouldn't have felt good. All I would have been able to say is, the Eagles are 5-0. But do I feel good about them being 5-0? Absolutely not. So again, they deserved the loss. Denver played to a higher level yesterday. They played to a higher ceiling. They were more physical. They were more gutsy. They were more aggressive down the stretch, and they deserved the win. And those are my overall thoughts on the game yesterday. If you enjoyed this analysis, I would really appreciate if you can give this video a like. I would be continuing to break down the NFL and the Eagles, so if you're interested in that, subscribe to my channel. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and all my short-term content will be on TikTok in the description down below. If you made it this far in the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.